Hello, my friends. We have a brand new episode today, and I am super excited to chat with you about abortion recovery retreats and how to know if you're ready for one. We have one coming up in June here in North Dakota, and I know that there are women listening to this that need healing. And so this episode is going to help you decide if you're ready. And spoiler alert, if you're listening to this episode, I don't believe it's a coincidence. So please do not pause. Listen to the whole thing and reach out if you need help. With that, let's get into the episode.
Are you struggling with the pain of a past abortion and longing for help but don't know where to turn? Maybe you don't struggle with the pain of a past abortion, but are longing for redemption for a sin that you think is too big and too bad. Friend, you're in the right place. I'm Brittany, a wife, mom, and post-abortive woman that is now on a mission to help other women find hope and healing through Jesus. For over 10 years, I tried to hide the pain I carried with me as a result of my choice to have an abortion when I was 17 years old. I thought for years that I had committed the one sin that was unforgivable, and I awaited punishment from God and hid this secret in the deepest depths of my soul for over a decade. After years of prompting from the Holy Spirit, I finally found redemption and hope through Jesus and was able to recognize that when He died for everyone, that meant He died for me too. Now that I am healed, God has placed a calling on my heart to go and tell. So here I am, ready to walk alongside you so that you can find true hope and healing too. If you're ready to break free from those chains and recognize that God has a true plan and purpose for you, no matter what you have done in your past, then this podcast is for you. Fill up your favorite mug with some coffee and crack open your Bible because, friend, it's time to receive the good news.
Super quick before we get into the nitty and gritty of today's episode, I want to remind you that our Forgiven and Set Free retreat is coming up in June 22nd through the 25th near Jamestown, North Dakota. Now, spots are limited, but we do have some scholarships available, so please don't let that be a reason why you don't reach out. We have seen some amazing breakthroughs and just such transformations of women who come to our retreats. So we want to see you there. You deserve to feel whole. So if you are feeling like you want to attend a retreat and you are near us, please send me a DM on Instagram or email me and I will get you connected with the info you need to get signed up. All right, friends, let's get into today's episode. Today, we are talking about abortion recovery retreats and how to know if you are ready for healing. So, how do you know when you're ready for healing? To be honest, you're probably not going to have an, okay, I am 100% ready for this moment. Now, just, to state the obvious, the enemy really doesn't want to see God take what He meant for evil and turn it into good. So there's going to be some spiritual warfare going on when you are really kind of wrestling with if this is the right decision for you. And I want to challenge you to not let that win. Do not let him win. God wants you to be whole. And if you are feeling an inkling towards needing some hope and healing from your past decision of abortion, let that be louder than what the enemy is going to tell you. Just for reference, it took me about 5 years after first thinking about it to finally attend a study. My abortion had been about 10 to 11 years prior, but I had really just kind of started to think about the aspect of healing about 5 years afterwards. It takes women about an average of 10 years before they reach out to someone about their abortion and before they kind of really start to feel that regret set in. Now, some women, it takes much longer. We've met women who it's taken 40 years. Some women will unfortunately die with this secret without receiving that healing that they so desperately deserve. There are women struggling with mental and emotional issues that have this secret and nobody has any idea. There are women in your life that you know that are struggling with this behind closed doors. 1 in 4 women has an abortion by the age of 45, at least one abortion by the age of 45. And at least half of these women, if not more, begin to regret their choice. Now, even women that don't regret their abortions still grieve their child. And I don't want you to live with this pain any longer, and neither does God. He wants you to be whole. So, reaching out for healing can be really scary. As you've heard me talk about in a previous episode, I am a huge introvert, and so I'm sure some of you can relate, and that makes you extra afraid to divulge anything to others, let alone this deep, dark secret that you carry with you. You may feel afraid of judgment, feel like you're the only person that's ever done this. How are there more women like me? How is there actually going to be a group of women in a room like me? Trust me, friends, we heard the stat, 1 in 4 women. There are thousands of women that are struggling just like you. You are not alone. Again, I said earlier, it took me about 5 years from the time I really first started thinking about healing to actually get there. And I wish that I would have reached out sooner. I'm going to give you guys a quick timeline of just how long it took me to get help, because I'm hopeful that you hearing this will help you cut down on how long it's going to take you. So, I had my abortion in November of 2010. From 2010 to 2016, I didn't really think about my abortion a whole lot. Now, that's not to say I never thought about it. I did. And if you would have asked me then, yes, I did regret it then. But I wasn't thinking about it as often. I was only 17 when I made that choice. And so the years after that, I was very busy in college, in activities, doing a lot of things. So I had a lot of things to kind of keep me busy. Now, I was having symptoms of post-abortion syndrome, but I wasn't relating those or associating them to the regret I felt of what I had done. Now, in 2017, I had graduated college, I was in grad school, and I had just gotten back into church. I moved back to my hometown from college. I found a really great church that I loved at the time, and I would think that I did not deserve to be there, but I still kept going. I went through believer baptism that year in October, and when I went through believer baptism, I still felt as though I did not deserve it. In fact, it was exhilarating when I came out of the baptismal pool, but as I turned and started walking off the stage, I felt this looming dark cloud behind me telling me that it didn't count because I didn't tell the pastor who baptized me about my abortion. In 2018, early 2018, my friend invited me to like her Facebook page for her nonprofit, We Are Everywhere. And this friend was someone that met with me when I was a teen after I had had my abortion. She worked in a crisis pregnancy center, and my mom had gotten a referral to her after my mom found out about my abortion. And she met with me and was encouraging. And I've said this to you guys before, but she was very patient with me when I didn't deserve it because I was uninterested in anything at the time. I was just not in a good place. And I'm so thankful for her that she was patient with me because we got to reconnect later on. But anyways, back to the timeline. So after she invited me to like her page, I noticed that her website had all of these abortion recovery materials. And I was like, I need these. So I ordered a ton of them. And of course, I ordered them on Amazon so that they would come in packaging that wasn't obvious. And of course, I wasn't going to go pick these up in person at Barnes and Noble and have the Barnes and Noble clerk know that I had had an abortion. And I received those books and I proceeded to let them collect dust on my shelves for 4 years. I did not open them. I would pick them up and think I was going to open them and then be afraid and put them back. And that is what happened. And throughout these next 4 years, I had little moments where I knew that I needed healing, but I didn't know how. And I can only describe this to you. It's so cool. I prayer journal, and I've been prayer journaling since 2013. And I look back at some of my prayer journals, or even some of my, I used to be in network marketing, so I have like dreams journals and all of that goodness. And I look back at some of those, and even back then, I was saying things like, I desire to be an advocate for life and women. And I know that I was desiring that healing, but I didn't know how to do it or where. And so fast forward, you know the story of the birth of my daughter. I hemorrhaged. I was depressed. I wanted to kill myself. I got through that, but not through healing from my abortion. I then lost a bunch of weight and began running in 2021. And I would listen to worship music during my runs. And very early into starting running, the song One Step Away by Casting Crowns came on in my earbuds. And I've told you guys this story before, so I'm trying not to be too redundant, but I know some people might be listening to this episode first before those others. And so the opening lyrics in One Step Away are, what if you could go back and relive one day of your life all over again and unmake the mistake that left you a million miles away from the you once knew? And I instantly cried while I was running. And I knew what day I wanted to go back to. And so then my runs would consist of early mornings, worship music, and crying, because I would spend my time with God, feeling Him telling me I needed healing and being so afraid of what was to come with that. You know the whole story of my pregnancy with my son. I battled with depression because I didn't feel as though I deserved him. The child that I aborted, I fully 100% believe was a boy. I've told that story as well. And so when I found out my son was a boy, that made that even worse. While I was pregnant, I heard Victoria Robinson's interview on Relatable, and her story. You should listen to that episode. I'll link all of this stuff in the show notes, but her episode was so good on Relatable. She talked about how she got into what she does, and I just felt like I related with her so much. And instant tears. I continued to hear God calling me to do something. I felt Him calling me to do something, and I didn't know how or what to do. And so then my son was born at the end of 2021, and I reached out to my friend in early 2022. It took me just over 11 years after my abortion and 5 years after those beginning feelings of regret to finally reach out and seek the healing that I needed, that God desired for me to have. Friend, it may take some time. I'm going to pray that you're going to listen to this episode and not wait 5 years. You may be struggling right now. You may have been struggling for a while. Maybe you're not struggling right now. Wherever you're at, I really, truly pray that this episode is going to help bring you some clarity as to whether or not a recovery retreat is right for you, or whether you need healing at all. If you are struggling, healing is possible. So let's get into 5 indicators that would suggest you are ready to seek some healing. So the first one, you regret your abortion. Regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, whether you're pro-life or pro-choice, we all must recognize that all choices can be regretted. We can regret literally any choice we make, and abortion is no exception. So regardless of where you were, whatever side of the aisle you were on when you chose to have your abortion, you are still allowed to regret it. Maybe you're listening to this and you don't regret your abortion. You can still grieve the child that you lost to your choice of abortion, even if you don't regret your abortion. The Clinical Impact of Reproductive Choice conference that I just attended had Robin Atkins. She is a licensed mental health therapist, and she talked about her clients. And 100%, she's not exaggerating, 100% of her pro-choice clients who do not regret that they had an abortion, they feel that it was the best choice that they could make for themselves at the time, still grieve their children. They still go through a grieving process with their child. So, yes, if you regret your abortion, you are probably ready, if not almost ready, for healing. And even if you don't regret it, I would challenge you to still reach out to somebody because you still need to go through a grieving process. Indicator number 2, you feel guilty. Friend, guilt is going to prevent you from grieving because we go through the stages of grief even when we chose this. There are 5 stages of grief, and they're not linear, and they don't happen in a short amount of time. Sometimes it can be a long time. And let me tell you, God does not want his children to live in guilt and shame. That's why he sent his son. So if you are feeling guilty for choosing abortion in your past, it's time to get some help. Indicator number 3, you feel angry. Maybe you were pressured or coerced to have an abortion, and you're mad. You are angry with the people who pressured you into choosing the thing that has given you the most pain. Maybe you were a minor, and there were a ton of people, adults in your life, that didn't give you a better option, that helped you get an abortion without your parents knowing, and didn't stop for a second to provide you with an option that wasn't going to bring you so much pain. Maybe you're angry that you even got pregnant in the first place because that happens to other people. Whatever reason it is, anger is absolutely not healthy, and it is not the way to live. And there is a way to work through that anger. We actually spend a whole chapter on anger in our study. And so if you're feeling angry for whatever reason, you are probably going to need some healing. Indicator number 4, you avoid the topic of abortion at all costs. You avoid books, movies that may have abortion content in them. The popular show Grey's Anatomy just had quite a bit of abortion content. Now, I did not watch it myself. I just saw little recaps of it. And those of us who have had abortions know that they clearly did not depict abortion in the way in which it actually happens, but that's a topic for another day. You avoid those things. You want to run and hide when abortion is brought up in conversation. There was a time when I was in a Bible study group with some friends, and we were studying Becoming More Than Just a Good Bible Study Girl. I think that's the title, by Lisa TerKeurst, who I love so much. Lisa TerKeurst also has had an abortion, and she talks about it in that book. And one of my Bible study friend said, I didn't know that she had had an abortion. And one of my other friends in the Bible study went, I know, right? That's the tea. And I'm sitting there and they have no idea that I've had an abortion. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if I even change, if I look at them, they're gonna know. It was just very uncomfortable. And I wanted to run and hide. If you feel that way, you, first of all, are not alone. Second of all, you probably need to seek some healing because let's face it, abortion is literally brought up everywhere all the time. And you should not have to live that way when you hear that word. It does not have to become your identity. You are not your abortion. Indicator number 5. You struggle with relationships. Maybe you're super overprotective of your kids. Maybe you actually have trouble bonding with your kids. Maybe you struggle with intimacy with your spouse. You feel withdrawn from friends and family. You have a hard time getting close to people. You worry that people in your life would not love you anymore if they knew what you had done, and so you don't get close to them because you're afraid you're going to lose them. Maybe you feel angry all of the time and your temper just takes over with other people. You're impatient. You feel like you have to be in control, and that affects your friendships and your relationships with your family. If you struggle with relationships, that is a very real symptom of post-abortion syndrome, and you should seek help because God created us to be in community and to love one another and thrive with one another. And if that's a struggle for you, then you deserve to seek help so that you can fully live in that. Now, that is a very short list. A longer list would have us here all day. This would be a 20-hour episode. So I have to cut it off at 5. But if you related to any of those, you need some healing. And if you're local and able to come to our retreat in June near Jamestown, North Dakota, I really encourage you to reach out. You can DM me or send me an email and I will get you the information so that we can get you there and we can get you healed. I do not believe in coincidences, and so if you're listening to this episode and you've had an abortion and have been feeling even just a little bit that way or any way that I described, I believe God placed this episode in your earbuds for a reason. You deserve to grieve, to heal, and to have hope. Now, if you're not local, please still reach out because I can help you find a resource or a group that's either local to you or online or something. So please don't let that prevent you from reaching out. You can send me a DM or an email. I have helped other women do this and I would be happy to help you. So just DM me, email me, and I will help you. Friend, please do not wait another day. Please don't wait 5 years like I did. Please don't wait 40 years. Please don't wait another day. You don't have to live that way anymore. There is so much joy to be had when you realize that you are forgiven and that it is finished. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I hope that you'll tune in next week for brand new episodes on Monday and Wednesday. And if you haven't yet, please leave us a review. I would love a 5-star review if you could, if you feel our show deserves that 5 stars. And if you would write just a quick few sentence review, you do have a chance to have your review read on the podcast. And quite frankly, it helps the show out so much when you do that. So thank you for doing that. If you have, and if you haven't, I would encourage you to please do that. And again, as I said earlier, all sources mentioned will be listed in the show notes, so you can go there and check things out. And I'm just so thankful that you tuned in today. And again, it's not a coincidence that you did. So take that and bathe in that for a little while. Well, friends, I hope you have a great rest of your week and weekend. Enjoy the hopefully sunshine that we are going to have in the spring weather, and I will see you Monday for a brand new episode. Until then, take care and God bless.
Friend, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. My prayer is that all of you who listen will receive this truth and love and will walk away feeling blessed, hopeful, and excited for the next episode. Before you go, I would be so grateful if you would subscribe to the show and head to Apple Podcasts to leave us a review. Reviews are the only way I'm able to know that you are truly loving the show, and it brings me so much joy and happiness to get to hear directly from you. One last thing, if you would like to follow along with me on social media, please follow the show on Instagram at GoodNewsPod or my personal Instagram at BrittanyPoppy. I'll have these links for you in the show notes. And remember, you very well might know someone that needs this show. Spread the word if the Spirit leads, and make sure to tune in to the next episode. I can't wait to see you very soon.